Hello everyone. In my previous session, I discussed about and I introduced the topic cost of capital, where I discussed there are different sources of funds and how to calculate cost of each and every source. So today I'm going to start the computational aspect of different sources of fund. The first important source you can say is debt, debt fund. So you have to know about cost of debt in this session. So be with me. You will be knowing each and every aspect of computational aspect as well as proper understanding of different components of cost of debt. You will be understanding in this session. So be with me. So at the end of the session, you will be able to learn what actually cost of debt is, how it can be understood in different ways, then how to calculate cost of debt before tax and after tax. Then obviously you have to know the computational aspects, number of numericals you will be studying in this session in order to understand exactly how cost of debt is calculated, which is very useful for finance manager because already you have learned why we need to calculate cost of capital. It is useful in a number of decisions related to finance like capital budgeting, financing decisions, or deciding the capital structure of the company, and as well as to know the evaluation of financial performance of the company. So at the end of this session, you are supposed to learn all these things related to cost of debt and its computation. Now, when it comes to the concept of cost of debt, just like cost of capital, it is the minimum rate of return, or you can say the rate of return required by the lenders, whosoever is lending money to the company. Normally company is in need of fund, so they rely on number of institutions like banks, finance companies, or financial institutions, and companies can issue debentures, bonds, and other kind of debt related securities. So when we talk about borrowing, we talk about taking loan or issue of bonds and debentures or any kind of debt. The procedure, it will be like while calculating cost of debt, it will be termed as debt because nature is same. So this is the rate of return which is expected by the lender, and that's why it is called cost of debt. From company's point of view, company has borrowed money from different institutions. So what company is paying to them, so that is the return to them, and that's why it is called, it is the rate of return given by the company to the lenders of the fund. Sometimes it happens just like when we talk about debt, suppose suppose 8% is the rate of interest which company is paying to the lenders of the fund. So this is called nominal rate of interest. For namesake, everybody knows, everybody or layman understood this is the rate of interest. But as far as cost of debt is concerned, cost of borrowed fund is concerned, though it was given at 8% rate of interest, exact cost to the company will not be 8%. Cost to the company will be something else, and that cost will be called effective rate, or you can say effective cost. Something which is visible is called nominal nominal cost, but this exactly is not the cost. It may be the same, but exactly the actual cost is something else, which will be calculated with a particular process, and that cost will be called effective cost or effective rate of return, which is offered to the lenders of the fund. So this is the basic concept. I hope you understood. In simple words, you can say whatever amount company receive. For example, this is total fund company borrowed. And after borrowing this much of fund, what company pays? That is in the form of interest or anything else. Whatever company is paying annually, if you multiply by 100, that will be the cost of debt. Suppose company pays 20,000 rupees and actual amount borrowed by the company was, you can say, 2 lakh rupees. So effective rate will be 20%. 20% will be the 20% will be the cost of debt. But this is not actual calculation, but starting, you can say, genesis of calculation is from this particular logic. What amount company has received, that is the total fund, and thereof what company is paying. So if you multiply by 100, you will get in terms of percentage. So that is called cost of debt. Now after this, you have to understand, because while calculating cost of debt, certain components you need to understand, like as in when company borrows money from anyone, so company has to pay fixed amount, that is called interest. So cost of debt, which is in the form of interest, is fixed and contractual obligation. Every year company has to pay and lenders have to receive. Second important thing is, uh, interest is tax deductible. This concept is very important from computational point of view, and this concept should be very clear to you. If you don't understand this particular concept, like interest is tax deductible, what does it mean? Whatever amount of interest company pays to lenders from whom company has borrowed, it will be considered as an expense for the company. For example, 10% is the cost of debt, and equal to 10%, for example, amount is 1000. You can say 1000 is the amount of interest which company has to pay to the lenders. Now this 1000, no doubt 10% is the nominal cost. It appears that rate of interest is 10%. But what will be the effective rate of interest or effective cost to the company? It will not be exactly 10%. Suppose tax rate tax rate is 30%. 30% is corporate tax rate. So one side, company has to pay 1000 rupees. You can say there will be outflow of the fund, because this is the obligation on the part of the company. Company has to pay 1000 interest to lenders from where company has borrowed. But by virtue of this 1000 as interest, it can be shown as an expense in the profit and loss account of the company. So what benefit company will be getting, equal to 1000, the total profit of the company will be reduced. Got the point? Suppose total profit of the company was 5000, and if interest has been shown, then it will be considered as an expense, so remaining profit will be 4000. So tax payable at the rate of 30% will be on this 4000, 30% tax on this 4000, that is 1200. Otherwise, if interest is not shown as an expense, company would have paid 30% tax on this 5000, that is 1500. Got the point? So in this way, there is a saving of 300 rupees. So one side, company is paying 1000 rupees, but there is a saving of 300, and that's why effective cost to the company is 700. In terms of percentage, if you want to show, it will be 7%. So if interest rate is 10%, amount is 1000, tax rate is 30%, so effective rate of interest or effective cost of debt to the company will be 7%, or 700 rupees if you want to show. I hope this concept is clear. Generally what happens, the cost of debt is cheaper than cost of equity. If company is doing business, so after payment to each and every one, residual amount at the end belongs to equity share. And if you calculate the percentage of return to equity, normally on the basis of past record, the return to equity has always been greater than cost of, or you can say, return on debt. Lower risk to investors, like if investors contribute to debt, they are sure about their return, that is interest they are likely to receive, which is fixed in nature. In case of equity, risk is there, but if you just like deposit money into bank, assured return you will be getting in the form of interest. If you purchase debentures and bonds, you will be getting assured return, and that's why it is called risk to investor is almost no if inflation rate is not there. This thing again very important while calculating the cost of debt. If company borrows money in the form of loan or debt, so this amount of debt and the loan is redeemable in nature. This is not normally perpetual. After a certain period of time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, this amount company has to return. So this thing you have to keep in mind. Now after this, why calculation of cost of debt is important, just like you have learned why cost of capital is important. Similarly, cost of debt is important from the point of view of this is one of the component of total capital. When we talk about capital, it comprises of debt, equity, preference capital, retained earnings, etc. So this is one of the component of total capital which is invested or employed in the business. So why it is important? Unless you calculate the cost of debt, you cannot calculate the weighted average cost of capital or overall cost of capital, which is very important for investment point of view, for capital budgeting decisions, for performance evaluation. So assist in financing decision. How it is assisting in financing decision? Once you calculate cost of debt, cost of equity, cost of this, so each and every component and their cost is calculated. If cost of debt is extremely low, you will come to know you have to rely more on debt. There are many countries where cost of debt is very low. So it will assist in financing decision from where, from what sources fund should be raised. So obviously fund is not free of cost. It has to be raised from that source where cost of fund is low. So calculation of cost of debt will let you know, it will help you in financing decision. I hope you got. Evaluates the borrowing alternatives. We have so many alternatives and their respective cost is there. Like for example, we have bonds, we have debentures, we have banks, we have financial institutions. So once you calculate cost of each and every source, then you can make a decision as which one is the most suitable source of funds. So if we have alternative, we have choice. So we can select the best in the interest of the company. The cost of debt, wherever it is low, it can be selected, it can be relied on, or fund can be borrowed from that particular source. And that's why cost of calculation of cost of debt is important from company's point of view. Now, as far as calculation is concerned, cost of debt is calculated in different ways. Like sometime companies are willing to calculate cost of debt before tax. Before tax, how much was the cost of debt? After tax, how much has been the cost of debt? Because tax rate vary from country to country, and that's why this thing is important. There are a number of countries where corporate tax rate is very low or no corporate tax rate is prevailing, and some countries are having high corporate tax rate. So especially multinational companies would like to know their area of, you can say their operation is scattered or spreaded throughout the world. So they would like to know before before tax how much was the cost of debt, after tax how much was the cost of debt in different locations. And debt is normally redeemable in nature. This is not permanent source of fund, but conceptually you can say if cost of debt is irredeemable, it is permanent, permanently debt is there, then you have to calculate, or how you have to calculate cost of irredeemable debt. And if normally debt is redeemable in nature, so you have to understand how to calculate cost of redeemable debt. For example, you borrow money for certain period of time. After expiry of that time, you have to redeem the entire fund, entire principal amount. And at the time of redemptions, conditions will be different. That you will be learning in next slide. So when we talk about calculation of pre-tax cost of debt, so it's very easy. Normally, whatever is the interest company has to pay and how much amount company has received. Whatever amount company received, that will be denominator. For example, any amount you may assume, and thereof how much company is paying. This much fund used by the company, and this one annual amount company is paying. So if you multiply by 100, you can know how much is the cost of debt without considering any tax aspect in the calculation. So I stand for interest, NP stand for net proceed. Why we call it net proceed? Because normally in case of debenture, the face value suppose 100 rupees there. In case of issue, some cost is involved. We call flotation cost or cost of issue, suppose 2 rupees involved. So actually company is raising 100 rupees, but 2 rupee cost is involved, some brokerage, some commission. So effective amount company is getting 98. So 98 is net proceed. And maybe further, company is giving some discount to debenture holders, bond holders. So effective amount 93 company is receiving. So this is called net proceed, and that's why you have to calculate how much is the net proceed in real sense, how much amount received by the company. Now some numerical question like suppose interest payable is 1000. This is the interest cost 10,000. Net proceed, actual amount received by issue of this debt security is 1 lakh rupees. So multiply by 100, there is no any complication. So 10% is the cost of debt. Now when we calculate cost of debt after tax, so as I told you in the beginning, that whatever is tax rate, that there will be saving in the cost. So whatever is the actual cost before tax, you have to subtract the saving or the benefit company is likely to get because of tax rate. If tax rate is high, high amount of benefit will be there. If tax rate is low, so take the example, suppose whatever is pre, just like in previous example, I have calculated cost of debt was 10%. If tax rate prevailing is 20% or 30%, so suppose 1 minus 30% is 0.3. So effective cost of debt will be 7%. If tax rate is 0.2, then effective cost of debt will be 8%. If tax rate is not prevailing, that is 0, then cost of debt will be 10%. It means cost of debt will be lower from company's point of view if corporate tax rates are high. For example, there is a hypothetical position, corporate tax rate is 60%. So 1 minus 0.6. So effective cost, or you can say real cost or actual cost to the company will be 4%. So same thing has been explained in this example. 12% is the cost, tax rate is 30%. So 1 minus T, that is tax rate. So 12 multiplied by 0.7. So it will be 12% multiplied by 0.7 is equal to 8.4. That is effective cost of debt. Cost of irredeemable debt, it is similar to that. Whatever is interest, 1 minus T divided by net proceed. Suppose face value of the loan, a total amount of loan is 1 lakh. Interest rate due on this is 10%. So how much interest is payable? And tax rate is 30%. So amount of interest on this, if you calculate 10% on this, it will be 10,000. But since tax rate is there 30%, so 1 minus 0.3. So effective interest payable is 7,000. And net proceed is 95,000. It is given. Actual amount company received, maybe 5,000, some cost is involved or company has given some discount. So actually company is paying only 7,000. Paying 10,000, but 3,000 saving due to tax. And net proceed is 95,000. So if you multiply by 100, so it is given here, is equal to 7.37%. Now this one a little bit complicated, so you have to be very attentive, and you have to understand it properly. Cost of redeemable debt. Once loan has been borrowed, debt has been taken, then normally in case of companies, debentures are issued or bonds are issued. So these bonds are issued at, suppose the value of bond or debenture is rupees 100. If it is issued at par, the price of bond is 100 and it is issued at 100, so company is likely to receive the same amount. But price of the bond is face value or par value of bond is 100, but it has been issued at premium. Company is charging more money. Suppose premium is 10%. So 10% amount, rupees 10 on 100. So it will be sold at 110. So more amount company will be receiving. Net proceed will be 110. But if it is a discount, suppose discount 5%, value of bond is 100. It was issued at 5% discount. It means actual amount company received 95. But interest payable on that is suppose 9%. So 9% will be on 100, not 95. Company will pay interest on the face value. Interest is always paid on the par value or face value of the debentures or bond. So in this case, if company has issued at discount, so denominator will be 95 and actual amount of interest will be the same 9. So cost of debt will be more than 9%. If company is not good, they have to issue at discount. If company is good one, they can charge premium. If denominator is 110 and interest payable is 9, so cost will be less as compared to interest payable is 9 but company has issued at 95. So in this case, here cost of debt will be higher. Some flotation cost is there, like for issue of debentures bond, suppose out of 95 this was at premium, 2 rupee flotation cost, so 108 is the net proceed. So net proceed is important to know in order to know how much amount company actually received, that is called net proceed. Apart from interest, company may lose, company may gain at the time of redemption. What about the condition of redemption? Suppose 108 was received at the time of issue of debenture, but if it is redeemed, it is redeemed at 10% premium. So it means 110 company is repaying. So there's a loss of rupees 2. But if company is redeeming at 5% discount, it means 95 is the redemption value at the time of maturity. Company receive 108 and repaying them 95. So in this case, you will find there's a gain of 13 rupees. So this gain and loss is important in calculation. So this is the appropriate formula for calculation of cost of redeemable debt. And don't afraid, this formula is looking quite complicated. But one thing you have to keep in mind, the formula is derived from very simple formula, how much amount company is using, or you can say total borrowed fund, how much is borrowed fund, and how much annual amount company is paying annually, annual payment multiplied by 100. This is the logic. So in this case, annual amount may be in the form of interest, and if tax rate is there, accordingly you will adjust. And again you have to check at the time of redemption how much amount company paid, suppose 108, and how much company received, 95. So it means there's additional cost of rupees 13, but it was redeemed at after 5 years. So this 13 rupee is the cost of 5 years. So divide by 5, so it will be 2.6. So there will be whatever is annual interest cost plus this one. So this will be the total annual cost, and divide by average of these two into 100. So in this way, you will be able to learn. So one example I will be taking. Suppose the first question is the company issues 10,000 10% redeemable debenture of 100 each. So first thing you have to calculate how much is the net proceed. For net proceed, the face value of debenture is, you can say 10,000 multiplied by 100. 10,000 debentures, redeemable debentures. Price of one debenture is 100, or even no need to calculate this thing. Simply you can say how much interest is payable, how much interest is payable by the company. Price of one debenture is 100, so interest payable is 10%. So it will be interest is rupees 10. First thing you have to understand. Apart from this, what else company is paying or gaining? How to know this thing? You have to know the difference between redemption value and net proceed. So net proceed is redemption value, you can see condition is given. Redeemable at par, it means exactly at the time of maturity after 4 years, company is repaying maturity value. Maturity value is given, that is rupees 100. How much was the net proceed? What actual amount company received at the time of issue? So actual amount was exactly 100, but flotation cost was 4%. So 100 face value 100 and flotation cost 4. So 100 minus 4 is equal to 96. So actually company received 96 rupees, but paying at the time of maturity is 100. So 4 rupee again company is paying extra in 4 years. So annual cost will be rupees 1. So apart from interest payment of rupees 10 per year, 1 rupee is the additional cost. So it will be 11. But amount of 10 interest you have to adjust with tax factor. And that's why it will be, you can say, it will be calculated like this. Suppose amount of interest, it is given 10. You see, same formula is there. I will write the formula also 10. 1 minus t, tax rate is 30%, so 0.3. So the formula is interest 1 minus t plus how much is the redeemable redemption value, that at the time of maturity, how much is the redemption value. So in the formula, redemption value, so here it is 100 rupees minus net proceed, how much actual amount company received, that is 96. So 4 rupee extra company is paying annually. So if you divide by 4, you will get 1 rupee per year additional cost apart from interest. Divide by average redemption value plus net proceed, divide by 2 into 100. So this is the formula which was given. So in that case, you can say 100 plus 96, that is average, into 100. So you can calculate, this one will be 7 plus its calculation will be 1, that is 8. Divide by 100 plus 96, divide by 2, that is 98, into 100 is equal to 8 upon 98 into 100 is equal to 8.163%. 3%. This is the cost of debt in this. So in this question. So if you are asked to calculate for redemption of debenture, how cost of redeemable debentures are calculated. So you have to see the conditions of redemptions and conditions at the time of issue of debenture. So in this problem, actually some complications, some other situations are not given. But in next problem I will take, for example, the solution is already given. This is another question. Company issues 120. Company issues 12% debentures of 1000 each. It means you have to find how much is net proceed, how much is the redemption value at the time of maturity. So difference of that you will consider apart from annual interest cost. So price of one debenture is 1000. Interest payable is 12%. So if you calculate 12% of this, it is 120 is annual interest payment. Tax rate is given 40%. Redemption value at the time of redemption after 10 years, it was redeemable at 5% premium. So price of one debenture was 1000. So 5% of this will be 50. If you calculate 5% of 1000, it will be 50. So 1000 plus 50. So 1050 after 10 years, that is after at the time of maturity or at the time of redemption, company is paying this much. This is payment by the company. And how much amount company received, that is called net proceed. And for net proceed, you can see it was issued at 10% premium. You see, each at premium of 10%. It was issued. So price was 1000 and 10% premium. 10% premium. So that is 100. So 1100 rupees. And how much flotation cost? If it is given, 2% is flotation cost. So 2% of the sale price. So already 1100 and 2% of this. So 22 is flotation cost. So if we minus 22, So that amount is the actually expenses at the time of issue of debenture. So real amount company received is 1078. So everything already you have calculated, only you have to place their values in the formula, and the formula is when we say cost of debt. So how much was the amount of interest? Amount of interest was 120. Amount of interest was 120, and tax rate was 1 minus 0.4, 40%. So this will be the annual cost plus maturity value. Maturity value is 1050. Net proceed 1078. Actually, we repaid less amount and we received more. So there's a gain. So there will be reduction in the cost. So this is the 22 rupees gain in how many years? This debenture was issued for 10 years. So 22 rupee company gain in 10 years. So if you divide by 10, to 2.2 is the gain. Divide by average of both maturity value and net proceed. 1050 plus 1078 divide by 2 multiplied by 100. So in this case, if you calculate, you will find 120 multiplied by 0.6. So it will be 72 rupees is the cost. Plus this difference is minus 22 divided by 10. So there will be minus 2.2. So there will be reduction in the total cost. Whole upon, we have to take the average of this 1050 plus 107 and divide by 2. So average of this 1064 multiplied by 100. So again you calculate 72. So it will be 69.8. 1064 multiplied by 100 is equal to 6.56. This is the cost of debt. So this cost of debt will be extremely important in making different decisions by the company, that you need to understand. For example, one more problem, little bit advanced problem that you can understand. A company issues 20 lakh 10% redeemable debentures at a discount of 5%. At a discount of 5%. So you have to see again how much is the amount of interest here, that is 10%. The total value is 20 lakh. So you have to see total value is 20 lakh. So amount of interest will be 2 lakh rupees. And tax rate is 30%. So you have to write 1 minus 0.3. So only 70% will be the cost. Apart from this, what is the net proceed? For net proceed, you have to find how much, what is the maturity value? Debentures are redeemable after 8 years at 5% premium. So 2 lakh is the amount of debenture. So 5% of this 2 lakh will be 1 lakh. So it means 21 lakh is the maturity value. And how much was the net proceed? 20 lakh. If you calculate net proceed, this 20 lakh was the actual value of debenture. It was issued at 5% discounts. So 5% of this 20 lakh means 1 lakh discount was given. And flotation cost amount is given 50,000. So this amount is the expenditure. So 18 lakh 50,000 amount received by the company. 18 lakh 50,000 is the amount received by the company. And at the time of maturity, company is paying 20 lakh plus 10% premium, that is 21 lakhs. So this difference of 2 lakh 50,000 in 8 years, because after 8 years company has to pay. So 2 lakh 50,000 additional amount company is paying in 8 years. So divide by 8. So that will be the annual additional cost apart from annual interest. Whole upon, you have to take the average of these two. 21 lakh plus 18 lakh. 21 lakh plus 18 lakh 50,000 divided by 2 multiplied by 100. So it will be 1 lakh 40,000 plus If you take 2,50,000 divided by 8, its value will be 31,250. Already I have calculated in the paper. So this will be the annual cost, and divide by average of these two. Average of these two will be 19,75,000 multiplied by 100 is equal to 8.67%. So this will be the cost of debt. So in this way, the calculation of cost of debt will help you in number of, you can say, in number of ways, like capital structure decision. If you have so many choice of raising money by issue of debt, so you can compare wherever cost is minimum. One of the important objective of finance department is to minimize the cost. Before minimizing the cost, you must know how to calculate the cost. So you are able to understand how to calculate the cost for different debt securities, for different debt instruments. You can calculate the cost. So wherever cost of debt is low, or whatever source showing that cost of debt is low, fund can be raised from there. So this is the very basic purpose of learning how to calculate cost of debt. It will be extremely important to the finance department or to the person who is involved in taking financing decision. So the summary is already I have given. Cost of debt. What is cost of debt? It is the return which is paid to, or it is the cost which is paid to the lenders of the fund. Whosoever is lending money to the company, it is the cost paid to them. So from company's point of view, some like complications are there. Debt instruments are issued at par, premium, and discount at the time of redemption after certain number of years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. These may be redeemed at par, it may be redeemed at premium. Some flotation cost is involved. So keeping in mind in all those things, you have to calculate cost of debt. It will help you in boosting your finance related skills. So wherever you will work related to finance, this knowledge of computation will be extremely useful. So this is all about cost of debt. Thank you so much for your patience listening.